For 2,000 years, one name has resonated through history, synonymous with beauty, power, intelligence, and an allure that almost brought the Roman Empire to its knees. Cleopatra VII. But how did she maintain her beauty? This wasn't a modern influencer with a 10-product skincare drawer and a latte. Rather, she was the last pharaoh of Egypt who managed a collapsing empire, navigated treacherous political waters, and charmed two of the most powerful men to ever live. We think of our modern morning rituals as complex. Yet, the routine of the Nile Queen was a multi-hour dedication to hygiene, beauty, scent, and wellness, a precise alchemy of science and luxury designed to radiate power and divinity. It was not mere vanity, it was statecraft. Welcome to the Royal Vanity. Today, we are performing a deep historical excavation into the morning that defined an era. This is not just a routine, this is a strategic operation. We are taking a deep, detailed dive into Cleopatra's 7-step morning ritual, the authentic, historical practices that built her legend. You may want to take notes, as some of these secrets are surprisingly applicable today. We will cover everything from the ingredients she sourced from the farthest reaches of her empire to the biological reasons her methods worked. So, prepare for the royal treatment as we uncover the secrets of the Nile Queen. Let's begin. Step 1: The ritual of waking in pure water. The day of an Egyptian queen did not begin with the scream of an alarm. She would wake with the sun, around 5:30 or 6 a.m., in the Ptolemaic palace in Alexandria. But the first step in her routine wasn't skincare, it was purification. For Cleopatra, hygiene was next to divinity. Literally. The pharaohs were considered living gods, and to be dirty or unkempt was to offend the gods. In a hot, dusty climate, cleanliness was non-negotiable. The very first action was a full-body splash wash. While the common people would bathe directly in the Nile or canals, Cleopatra and the elite used private baths. Servants would use massive hydrai, or water jars, to pour fresh, cool, likely filtered or distilled water over her. She would use a simple cleansing agent, often a paste made from bicarbonate of soda and ash, the precursor to modern soap, and then rinse. Why cool water? It wasn't just to shock her awake. This first splash was designed to instantly cleanse any sweat or dust collected during the warm night. Close the pores after sleep. And crucially, reduce puffiness, especially around the eyes, a concern then as it is now. Before she could even proceed to step 2, she was completely, purely clean. The day began not by adding, but by stripping everything away. Step 2: The milk and honey bath. This is the most famous step in her entire routine, a legend that has spanned millennia, the milk and honey bath. While many historians now believe she didn't submerge her entire body every single morning due to the logistical nightmare of collecting hundreds of donkeys for their milk, a focused milk bath, especially for the face, neck, and hands, or a localized soak, was a fundamental morning practice. But why milk? It was more than just a luxurious flex. This is where Cleopatra's understanding of science excelled. Sour donkey milk, or mare's milk, is packed with lactic acid. Today, we recognize lactic acid as one of the mildest and most effective forms of alpha-hydroxy acid, AHA. It is a powerhouse chemical exfoliant. In the 1st century BCE, this was the cutting edge. The lactic acid gently dissolved the tiny glue holding dead skin cells together, allowing them to slough off effortlessly. The result? Instantly softer, brighter, and more even skin. And what about the honey? They used raw, high-grade Egyptian honey. Honey is a natural humectant, meaning it draws moisture into the skin from the air and from the milk bath itself. While the acid exfoliated, the honey deeply hydrated. Even better, honey is antibacterial and anti-inflammatory, keeping any redness or minor acne at bay. Cleopatra wasn't soaking for 20 minutes. She would likely soak for 10, allowing the lactic acid and humectants time to work, while a servant would gently massage her legs and arms, encouraging lymphatic drainage. She emerged with not just clean, but transformed skin. Step 3: The exfoliation or the power of the Dead Sea. The milk bath was only the beginning of exfoliation. The third step in the Nile Queen's routine was a mechanical exfoliation to ensure her entire body was a perfectly smooth canvas. For this, she turned to the resources of her beloved sea, Dead Sea salt. The Dead Sea, then as now, was famous for its uniquely high mineral content, specifically magnesium, calcium, and potassium. Cleopatra, aware of its properties, would have massive quantities of these salts transported across the desert. But a salt scrub isn't just salt. It would be too harsh. To make it a royal treatment, the salt was finely ground and mixed with an oleaginous base, a blend of oils, often castor oil and almond oil, perhaps scented with a hint of rose. A specialist servant would apply this mixture to her body in gentle, upward, circular motions. The salt crystals would mechanically scrub away any remaining dead skin and dirt, while the minerals, especially the magnesium, would absorb into her bloodstream, helping to soothe muscle soreness and reduce stress, vital for a woman overseeing a kingdom. This ritual achieved three things: immediate, silk-like smoothness, mineral infusion for muscle and nerve health, a massive boost to circulation, giving her skin a healthy, vibrant flush that radiated from the inside out. Once rinsed, her skin was primed and ready to lock in moisture. Step 4. Moisturizing and protecting with oils. In the searing dry heat of an Egyptian day, and especially in the high winds of Alexandria, moisture was a life and death battle for skin. After all that exfoliation, her pores were wide open and exposed. The fourth step was to lock everything in with deep, protective hydration. She didn't use a lightweight cream, she used oils. But these were complex, expensive blends. The foundation would be a high-quality carrier oil, perhaps sweet almond oil or olive oil, praised in the ancient world. But her signature blend was more sophisticated. Cleopatra's morning oil moisturizer was almost certainly a recipe based on sesame oil and moringa oil. Moringa oil, then oil, harvested from the moringa tree, was incredibly prized. It is a dry oil that absorbs almost instantly, leaving no heavy residue, but is packed with vitamins A and C, powerful antioxidants to fight sun damage and aging. Sesame oil provided a thicker, more protective barrier and was believed to have mild, natural sun-protecting properties. This oil blend was thoroughly massaged into her face and entire body, sealing in the water from her bath and creating an invisible shield against the dusty air and the punishing sun. She didn't look oily, she looked hydrated, with a visible, reflective glow that became another of her visual signatures. Step 5. The sacred art of scent. Now, we transition from preparation to presentation. Scent in ancient Egypt was not an accessory, it was a connection to the gods, a weapon of attraction, and an undeniable statement of power. This fifth step was essential to her presence. Cleopatra would not have smelled like modern jasmine or vanilla. Her scent was complex, heavy, and profound. She utilized oils and resins that were among the most expensive commodities on earth, often more valuable than gold. Her morning scent was a custom creation from her master perfumers. The base was likely a blend of myrrh, a sacred, earthy, almost sweet resin, and frankincense, a smoky, lemony, wood sap resin. To this, her perfumers would add high notes, perhaps a rare rose absolute for warmth, a hint of cinnamon or cardamom for a subtle, spicy allure, and a drop of rare iris for sophistication. These weren't alcohol sprays that evaporated in an hour. This was an ointment-based perfume. The oils were gently heated and infused with the ingredients, resulting in a thick, concentrated paste. A specialist servant would meticulously apply this ointment not to her clothes, but directly to her pulse points, the inside of her wrists, her neck, the back of her knees, and, it said, even her hair. This concentrated scent would warm and bloom throughout the day, creating a fragrant cloud that announced her presence before she was even seen. When you smelled that specific, divine aroma, you knew you were in the presence of the queen. Step 6. The kohl. The sixth step is the one that transformed the prepared woman into the queen of the Nile. We must mention the eyes. The quintessential Cleopatra look was the graphic, stylized kohl eye. The sixth step was application, and it wasn't just a style, it was a health requirement. They didn't use modern eye pencils. They used kohl, a powder made from grinding up a lead-based mineral called galena, often mixed with soot and other materials. A specialist artist would use a tiny stick to draw a perfect, thick line from the inner corner of the eye, swept out in a striking, feline wing toward the temple. Why lead? It seems counterintuitive, but the galena, lead, was synthesized by their chemists in a precise way, creating lead chloride and lead oxide to act as a potent antibiotic. This kohl lining protected her eyes from bacterial infections common in the water and sand, the blinding, intense glare of the desert sun. And, naturally, it created an incredibly powerful, dramatic visual that drew all attention to her expressive eyes. Finally, Step 7, the dress. Cleopatra would never be seen in simple tunic and sandals. After her bath and perfuming, she would be dressed in the finest Egyptian linen. This was not the standard linen we know, it was woven so finely it was nearly sheer and flowed around her like liquid. The dress was a canvas. She was then accessorized with thousands of pieces of gold, lapis lazuli, the deep blue stone of divinity, carnelian, and her signature emeralds. This final step was not about comfort, it was about iconography. Each morning, she was dressed to be a symbol, to physically embody the wealth and divinity of Egypt. Her routine didn't make her feel ready for the day, it made her the day. Cleopatra's morning routine was a masterpiece of luxury, chemical science, and strategic presentation. From the lactic acid in her milk bath to the antibiotic properties of her kohl, every single step had a purpose: to maintain her divine image, protect her health in a harsh climate, and present herself to the world as an awe-inspiring goddess. Her legendary beauty was not a gift of chance, it was a carefully constructed operation. While we might not all have time to gather donkey milk every morning, we can find wisdom in her dedication to holistic, natural, and potent ingredients. We hope you enjoyed this deep historical dive. We love bringing these legendary secrets to life. If you found this exploration of Cleopatra's ritual interesting, please take a moment to hit the like button. It helps our channel grow. And if you want to dive deeper into history, myth, and biography, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another episode. And a question for you: which of Cleopatra's 7 morning steps would you be most tempted to try, and which is the most surprising? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to share this video with someone who loves history or beauty. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on our next historical journey.